excellent.
Maybe it's just me, but I just don't think I'm the only one bothered by this. I mean, after all, I hear people have conversations about this issue. There are major debates on this issue. There are studies that are had over this issue. I mean, there are even memes about it online. People laugh and joke about it. There are social media channels that are dedicated to video content all about this topic. And I'm talking about parking lots full of abandoned shopping carts, or here in the South, we say buggies. Maybe you've had this experience. You pull into a parking lot, maybe on a busy Saturday morning. It could be the grocery store or your favorite retail store, and you spend several minutes just looking for a parking spot. And you drive around and around and around, and you look until you find that parking spot. And when you pull your car in, suddenly you realize that it is full of abandoned buggies. People didn't put their buggies back. So what do? You start the process all over again. You start driving around and around the parking lot all over again until you find now, finally, this empty parking space. And you pull in, and it's almost this sigh of relief, like, wow, okay, finally, we did it. You put the car in park, you turn it off, and then when you look up, what is it that you see? An abandoned shopping cart that is literally staring down your car, ready to charge like a raging bull. Surely I'm not the only one. Because of this, I believe that there are two types of people in this world. There are those who return their carts, and there are those who don't. Which one are you, and what does that say about who we are as people? Welcome to the Mind Your Business podcast, the podcast for whatever business is on your mind. Let's get started.
Well, that's excellent.
Thank you for joining me for the very first episode of the Mind Your Business podcast. I'm so honored that you're taking this journey with me as we get this brand new podcast up and going. It's my desire to help bring meaning back to the marketplace. You're going to hear me say that a lot. I want us to grow together through conversations about a whole range of topics. No topics are off limits. We're going to talk about what's happening in our current culture. We'll talk about company culture, customer service. We'll talk about the church world. We'll talk about politics, leadership, and a whole lot more because there are no topics off limits. This is the podcast for whatever business is on your mind. So if you're looking to grow personally and professionally, this is definitely the podcast for you. So some house cleaning. Let's just talk about what the podcast is all about before we dive into today's content. So why the Mind Your Business podcast? Well, personally, for me, I have always found that my greatest fulfillment is helping other people get to where they want to go. I feel more fulfilled when you find fulfillment. So my hope is to add value to your life. And I'm passionate about bringing meaning back to the marketplace, in our jobs, and the places that we go every day, because I personally think we're missing a giant opportunity to change the lives of people in a positive way. Think about it this way. We spend a third of our lives working. I mean, a big majority of our life is getting up every Monday, and for many of us, going to a place that we don't want to go, doing things that we really don't want to be doing, with people that you probably don't want to be doing it with. And because of that, we have a lack of passion and a lack of purpose in something that we do every single day. So we spend our week working for the weekend. And then when the weekend arrives, it just doesn't last long enough. And we live this cycle for most of our lives, wondering why we never find fulfillment. And then when we're not fulfilled and we don't feel purpose and we don't feel passion, that's passed on to the people that we serve. And at every register, at every restaurant, and every retail store, we feel that lack of purpose and that lack of passion. And that's why we hear that customer service is dead. We have a poor experience in our marketplace, and I want to help us change that. And because of this lack of purpose and passion, 42% of people say they want to quit their job. Probably in your organization right now are people thinking about doing something else. So because of this disconnect, now 90% of our companies are competing not over the price or the product, they're competing over the customer experience. That's the part that's making the difference in our marketplace today. So this tells me that something is broken in the marketplace and possibly even in your organization. So I just want to help impact this issue with practical and proven principles. And so, because of this, my life revolves around helping equip others to be the best that they can be in whatever business that they find themselves in. I spend my time coaching companies in strategic areas like customer service, company culture, and helping them care for their teams because I believe it's all about people. It's people that produce the products. It's people that deliver the products. It's people that service the products. It's people who buy the products. After all, it's all about people. And the more we learn to take care of people, the healthier our organizations will be. So much of what I share is just life learned experience through working in various organizations, with starting various organizations, and also my time working with Apple, learning some of their behind the scenes strategies that's helped keep them number one in customer service literally year after year. And throughout this podcast, I'm going to be sharing some of those secrets with you. Now, personally, for 15 years, just about me, so you know who's hosting you, I've been married to my very best friend, Jen Matthews, and we have a 7-year-old son named Asher, who I believe is just the coolest kid on the planet. Jen is also an incredible leader. She works in the creative world for various organizations, helping with creative marketing and branding. And she's the creative and worship pastor for the church that we lead. 12 years ago, our family and I, along with our best friends, we started Cultivate Church out of our living room. We literally quit our jobs. What we call launched into a new city. We just parachuted in to a brand new city where we knew no one. We had saved up all of our life savings to live on until we got this church going because we felt like this is something that we were called to do in our lives. And so we have really committed our lives to it. And now this organization meets in 2 different locations. We've renovated in 4 different facilities. We've launched missionaries and chaplains literally all over the world. Now, I know what many of you are thinking. What does leading a church have to do with my business? We're in the service industry, or we produce a product, and what's the disconnect? How do we merge these 2 worlds together? But leading an organization like a church, it has some very unique leadership challenges that aren't present in every other organization. And what I mean by that, for example, is we have 300 people who have staff roles and positions in our organization, but they're all volunteer based. You see, they don't work for a physical paycheck. They don't have a 401k. They're not earning any benefit other than fulfilling the passion and the purpose they have on their life. So we don't have the ability to say, if you don't do this, you don't get a paycheck. If you don't do this, your benefits stop. No, we have to lead in a very different way. But we still have some of the same complexities that you face in your organization. We have a finance department, a marketing department, a media department, a creative department. We have guest services. We actually have childcare. We have a fully functioning cafe. We have different facilities in different cities and property that we have to keep up. We actually produce weekly live gatherings with live lighting and sound and music and video production. I mean, there are a lot of moving parts in a church organization. And that just means for me that there's so many opportunities to grow and stretch my leadership muscles that just in that environment alone that I think are going to be beneficial to our time together. Now, I do want to let you know that the podcast is not focused solely on the church, but I am passionate about bringing what I believe are these transferable and applicable principles to everyone. And I think it's going to help us bring meaning back to the marketplace because this is the podcast for whatever business is on your mind. So we're going to talk through a wide range of topics in order to grow together. So here's what to expect. To get us started, we'll be releasing a new podcast on the 2nd and 4th Thursday of every month. And today, we're releasing a few episodes just to get us started as we have new episodes on the way. Now, let's dive into today. Today, we're going to talk about the business of putting your buggy back. Now, there are countless studies on why people do or do not put their shopping carts back. But for me personally, this is a big pet peeve. And honestly, it's one of the reasons that I even decided to start this podcast. And if you know me personally, many of you are probably laughing right now because we're talking about the buggies. And I also know that I'm not the only one. I asked in the front, hey, am I the only one that sees this problem? But I know I'm not the only one because there are a lot of conversations that are held around this issue. As a matter of fact, take a look at this TikTok from real life with Alan and Shell, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
My wife always says, don't park next to where they put the shopping carts because it might scratch our car. I said, that doesn't matter because they leave shopping carts everywhere. People will leave these things just a few feet from where they belong. I mean, you fair game to get your car scratched anywhere in the parking lot, the way that they just leave them all over the place. Unless you're just disabled or something, or elderly. It's trifling and lazy the way some people just leave them anywhere, talking about that's their job to put them back. Do you want someone coming to where you work, making your job more difficult unnecessarily? If you're healthy and blessed with the ability to walk, it just takes a few more steps to put them back where they belong. This got to be the same people who wait to the last minute to merge into traffic. I'm just curious. Is this your pet peeve too? Or is this something that you do?
You see, regardless of the reason that a person does or does not return their shopping cart, I think they all have one thing in common, and ultimately it's that it's all about them. One of my favorite shopping cart memes says this, and maybe you've seen this. It says, I don't know a single successful person who leaves their shopping cart in the middle of the parking lot. Now, I think that is so true. And I understand, I know all the excuses and the things that we give. And there are legitimate reasons that people don't put their cart back. And I get that some of these seem to be legitimate and good reasons why we don't. One of the main reasons people will say is that the return was too far away. And I'll give you that. I actually rode through the parking lot just this week, and I noticed that the cart returns were all toward the front of the store and there were none in the back of the parking lot. And I did think to myself, why don't we put some cart returns in the back of the parking lot? However, I do also realize that we just walked into that large box store and we walked miles all around the inside of that store pushing a cart. But yet when we get to the parking lot, it's like our legs are broken and we just don't have the strength or the energy to walk a few more steps to put that cart back. I think we can make it a few more steps to put that cart back. Somebody said, well, it was raining outside. The weather was too bad. I was in a hurry to get inside of my car to get my things in and then just put the cart over to the side. It was raining and I didn't want to get wet. Another excuse that we give is that nobody puts their carts back. Nobody puts the carts back into the return, so why should I be any different? And then this is one of the excuses that are given, is it someone else's job to return them? Now again, regardless of what excuse you decide to use, all of these excuses communicate that it's all about me. It all is inwardly focused. It's about my convenience and what pleases me in the moment. And I believe that this is a consistent theme in all of our organizations across our culture. And this is why it's said that customer service is dead. We're just thinking about our convenience and the outcomes without considering other people. And that's why through this podcast, it's my hope to help shift our focus from an inward focus to an outward focus, that we don't just think about ourselves, but we think about other people. And at the end of our time today, this clip actually illustrates what I would like to see us to grow and to be, and maybe we can begin taking these steps today. Take a look at this. Now, to me, this is one of the most incredible sights. Look at this woman pushing this buggy in the middle of this storm. I mean, she's not just getting a little wet. I mean, her purse is in her hand. I mean, she's went the extra mile to return this cart. So if this lady can do it, surely we can begin to do it. And today I want to offer you 3 benefits of putting your buggy back. 3 reasons that will help you develop your leadership. That will help you develop as an individual, that will ultimately help empower and equip your organization that you serve in or that you lead. And the first one is this, maybe you want to write these down if you can or jot them in the notes on your phone, is that putting your buggy back helps develop leadership. Putting your buggy back develops leadership. You see, a true leader doesn't just lead with words, they lead with action. A true leader elevates and enhances everyone and the environment that is around them. And even though everyone else may abandon their shopping cart all over the parking lot, that doesn't influence a leader. A leader puts their cart back. And in order to grow in your leadership, there's three things that I want you to consider, three key areas of your life that if you'll begin to build these three things, it will actually develop you as a leader in your life. And the first is this, is it will help you develop personal leadership. If you're going to grow as a leader, you have to develop personal leadership. You see, you can't lead others if you can't lead yourself. And the success of what's seen actually starts in what is unseen. For example, there are certain days, and we all do this. You roll out of bed and you just wake up with a bad attitude. You don't know why you feel that way. You don't know why your attitude is the way it is. But if you don't have personal leadership, if you can't lead yourself, everyone in your place of work, everyone who sits next to you, every conversation you have, all of those people will feel that bad attitude that you have. But see, when you develop personal leadership, you say, no, I'm not going to let my feelings or my emotions lead me. I'm going to lead my feelings and my emotions. And when you have a conversation with someone and somebody says, how are you doing? It's not all doom and gloom because you can lead yourself out of it. In order to be successful publicly, we have to learn to be successful privately, and that begins with your personal leadership. The second form of leadership that I want us to focus on is your peer leadership. And this is where you move from your individual self and then you join in with your team, the way you interact with the people that's around you. Leadership expert John Maxwell says that people hear your words, but they feel your attitude. That's one of my favorite quotes, and you'll hear me say that a lot. People hear what you say, but they feel your attitude. You can change the environment with the attitude that you bring into something. You see, the things that you say and the things that you do, they're impacting the people that are around you. So I would ask you this question. How's your attitude in the office? How do you respond to other people during conflict or when you're under pressure? Because your personal leadership develops or leaves its impression on your peers. So that personal development that you have and the way that you lead your emotions and you lead your feelings, when you grow personally as a leader so that you can control yourself, then when you're with your peers, it changes the whole environment that's around it. You help lift other people. You elevate that environment by being with your peers. And then as that develops yourself personally and it develops as a team, then ultimately your organization is healthier because of it. Which brings us to the third part of the leadership that I want you to focus on, and that is your public leadership. Your public leadership. This is customer facing. See, many of us like to focus on our own selves, and then we'll think about the people that are out on the other side. But it's the building of yourself, it's the building of the team that now impacts all the people that you're serving. These are all of your customers. And learning personal leadership makes you and everyone around you better. And then when you and your team is healthy, this impacts those that you serve and the people that's on your team, all the people that are buying your products, all the people that are at your register, all the people that are in your restaurant, the way that the salesmen address all of the customers. Because ultimately, here's the thing, leadership is just simply influence. So make this year, growing your leadership, that your business this year. Because this is the podcast that will be helpful along the way, as leadership is the business that's on our mind. So we want to help you develop so that you can help you develop the people that is around you. Now, putting your buggy back, number 2, it helps develop discipline. Putting your buggy back develops not only leadership, but it helps you develop discipline in your life. And so if you find yourself maybe frustrated with a lack of progress or promotion in your life, the reason may not be what you think. It may not be because you're not qualified or that you don't have the skills or the necessary abilities. It may just simply come down to discipline. I mean, think about it. Walking those extra steps to put your cart back says that you're going to do the right thing regardless of how you feel or what it costs you. Disciplined people often find more opportunity and success than people who are not disciplined. And it's because they're committed to the process. You see, disciplined people lead their feelings and they refuse to let their feelings lead them. Discipline is the guardrails that keep us in the lane. Discipline is what keeps you on that diet. Discipline is what keeps you in the gym. It's what keeps you healthy. It's what keeps that New Year's resolution something that lasts throughout the year, because you don't always feel like it. It's not always fun. It's not always enjoyable. Sometimes it's raining. Sometimes it's a long distance to walk the buggy back to the return. But discipline will help you carry out the leadership qualities that you've developed in your life. And then number 3, I think this one's important. Putting your buggy back develops consideration. Putting your buggy back helps develop consideration. You've heard the golden rule. It says to treat others the way that you would like to be treated. And when you have consideration for other people, you actually take a moment to consider how your actions are impacting them. Most of us just think about how we feel today and how we're going to have a good day, and if we can get out in traffic, and if we can get ahead in the position that we are. But what would change in your own life or in your organization if you had consideration for other people? I mean, it's so simple. You can simply hold a door open for someone. You can leave something better than you found it. I mean, you can clean. I know it's not your mess. I know you didn't create it. I know you didn't throw the trash on the ground. But just think about the difference you can make in your environment if you just stopped and just cleaned it up. If you just picked up the trash that you're passing. I mean, leave it better than you found it. Come on, tomorrow morning, let someone out in traffic. Don't stare them down. Don't speed up so they can't get out. Let someone out. Be considerate of other people that are on the road. Re-rack your weights at the gym. You're not the only one using the equipment. Pick it up and put it like you would like to find it. Think about how your actions are not only impacting your life, but how it will impact the lives of others. That is consideration. You see, putting your buggy back is great practice for consideration. So where do we go from here? Well, to all of my cart deserters, when you park your car, take the cart that's already abandoned by someone else and walk it to the return as you head into the store. And then as you leave the store, take your cart, or at least one you pass, and take it to the return. You see, you can start today developing leadership, discipline, and consideration in your life by simply putting the buggy back. Now, to my cart returners, don't grow weary in well-doing. Now, the road is a little less traveled, or in this case, the cart's less returned, and it may feel a little lonely, but you're making a difference. Let me reassure you, it may seem simple or insignificant, but you are making a difference. You're setting the standard for other people to follow. So keep leading, stay disciplined, and stay considerate. Now, I realize that I may not be able to ensure that everyone puts their buggy back, but I know that I can continue to motivate us and equip us through the Mind Your Business podcast. So I want you to do me a favor. If this has been beneficial to you, if it's added value, I would like for you to like, subscribe, and share this with other people so we can discuss the business that is on your mind. You can sign up at YouTube. You can follow us on all the podcasting platforms, and it would be my honor for us to take this journey together. So once again, thank you for joining me for the Mind Your Business podcast. We'll see you next time.